all doing today? I hope that you're having a fab day, and I say this at the beginning of every single one of my videos, but I cannot stress it enough. I really hope that you guys are being kind to yourselves. You know, we live in such a dark time right now for various different reasons, and I think that we forget to take care of ourselves. So please be kind. It will help your mind and it will help your body. Now, I do hope that if you're having a bad day today, this video can put a little smile on your face, and if you're already having a good day, then I hope that it doesn't ruin it. Yeah, this is Let's Build Edinburgh Part 3, so if you haven't watched the other two parts, I would go do that now. Otherwise, welcome. Let's hop into the speed build and I will talk to you some more. Okay, so in this part we are moving on to the last bit at the top of the build. Now, this area changed from last video. Like, you might have seen in the first video, you would have seen me building a rough shell of it, and then in the last video you might have caught like bits of it out the corner of the screen. But I actually went back and I changed the shell of it before this video, just because the shell that I had there was kind of more of a placeholder, but I didn't, looking at that shell, I didn't have a specific vision of how I wanted to transform it, so I went back and I changed it a little bit. It's still roughly the same, it's just slightly different. I've created a little bit more dimension along it, whereas I didn't do that before. And I've been able to kind of create separate builds, whereas before it just kind of looked like one long skinny build. Now it just looks like separate builds that are obviously in a row. So here I am, just putting some vines and windows and doors and all that jazz, just trying to make it look a little bit more traditional, because I still wasn't feeling this part of the build until a good way through. So I cut it all out, but I actually rebuilt it and demolished it and rebuilt it and demolished it so many times. I just felt like I was having a lot of block with it. So I don't know. So here I was still hesitant. I was putting it all in, all the wallpapers and stuff like that, and putting the windows and doors, and I was still the whole time I'm not sure, I might need to demolish this again. So I'm happy that this is what we go with. I finally got there. But it's like that thing, the more you try and do it, the less you get done and the worse it seems to get. I was having one of those days. Yeah, I don't know, but we got there, so that's good. I decided to do a variety of different kind of shops and commercial things in these buildings, because at first I was like, what am I going to put here? We've already had a bunch of shops and cafes and restaurants and hotel and houses and stuff in the previous part of the build, so I was like, I don't know what else to add. But I do add some new kind of shops and things like that. Nothing crazy, but we add some new things. But you would have seen just at the back there, I haven't really shown you much of the back of the build. You would have seen a little bit of what it's going to look like. There'll be screenshots to show you properly. It's just because the terrain is so high at the back of the lot, the camera jumps up and down so much that I had to cut out most of the footage from doing the back, because when it was sped up, it was, oh my gosh, you felt like you're on a roller coaster. So I'm sorry, I had to cut most of that out, but you will see screenshots and stuff to see what we do with the back. You get a little bit of a look there. So you can see there's that covered walkway with arches, and there's a little terrace bit at the back, and you'll see there's loads of windows and doors and stuff at the back of the buildings going out into that space. So it's nice. I just imagined it being, maybe the cliff edge and then there was the castle or something. So you'd have a good view, obviously you've got a good view of the sea or something by the looks of things. I haven't actually looked at what the view is from this lot, but that's what I was imagining. Now, I had trouble with this building because it was such a big square building, and I thought, well, no, this is very common for them to have big square buildings, so I wanted to stay at least a little bit accurate in that sense, because I'm not accurate in any other sense. But I really struggled to make this look good. I think when I finished and I go and add all the flower boxes and all the different bits and some signs and things like that throughout the build, I keep going back and I keep adding things and I keep changing things because I'm like, nah, doesn't look good. But I think we get there eventually, so at least there's that. And this, you see here, there's the stonework that's covering all of that main floor is all the same. I don't know when that happened. I go back and I change it all to the different wall coverings and that. It's not all meant to be that stone, so it does change at some point, because I don't know, I must have just alt placed a wall covering and it covered the whole thing and I didn't notice for ages. But I do go back and fix that. But right now, oh, you might have seen just there, I don't know if you would have because it was really quick, the stairs I have leading up from the area where the dungeons and that fancy house is, the stairs that lead up that area there. Every time I drew a fence or a wall or demolished a fence or a wall, the stairs there, so they're all little half stairs that go up step by step up of the terrain forming. Every time I did something to a wall or a fence, you can see them there, they jump up to their full height, or at least a little bit more of a full height. And I kept noticing, and I kept going back and changing it to make them go back to their like little levels. And basically what you have to do is it's because they're joined to the foundation of that build. So you see me there, I like narrow them down and then I like move them and they go and they fix themselves and then I make them wider again. It was fine there because there was not really any windows and stuff, but I end up adding all the windows and the vines and all that to that building on the right there, and they keep popping up, and every time they pop up they've got like vines and windows attached to them because they're touching that foundation and that wall, that those items are like classed as being stuck to the stairs. So when the stairs jump up like that, the windows and vines jump up and they end up being in weird places on that wall, and then it keeps deleting them. And I went back and I changed them so many times and I had to cut it out. I did it that much, and then eventually I was like, no, I'm just going to leave it till I'm not going to be doing any more with the walls. And then I thought I was done with the walls and stuff and I just had to furnish, so I went back and fixed them, and then it ended up changing something with the walls and I was like, oh no, I should have left it. And that happened so many times, and then I eventually did leave it to the very, very last thing I did on the build and I changed them back. So, moral of that story, if you download this build, don't change anything unless you want to be fiddling with the stairs for ages, because there, they've popped up again. And you see the windows are like placed in weird areas. That's because they're kind of attached to the stairs. So that was fun. Yeah. Anyway, so this area, this does not exist in the Royal Mile, which is like the kind of vibe. I don't know if I've already said that. I'm getting so distracted. I don't know if I've said this is kind of inspired by the Royal Mile. I think I have. Oh my gosh, what is wrong with me today? Anyway, they don't have that grass area there, but I just threw it in because it's The Sims and it looks nice. So here we're doing like a museum kind of thing, like a tourist information, that kind of thing, because the Royal Mile is very touristy and they have a tourist information. Now, if I remember rightly, on the Royal Mile they have like a space, it's just next to this build I did, like walls and arches that led into like a little courtyard. I'm pretty sure that is actually where the tourist information is in the Royal Mile. Or maybe it's not, maybe it's just next to it, but there is a little courtyard with arches leading into it. So I kind of included that and blended them together anyway, so there is a little bit of inspiration there. But yeah, I decided to do this as a museum, and it's taken up more than like one building as such, because like I say, I was running out of things to put in these buildings that you would traditionally find in Edinburgh on the Royal Mile or in the Old Town. So yeah, I made it a big museum with lots of pictures and random statues and random things like that. Just a place that your Sims can come and you can, I don't know, pretend to look at the history, do some reading, do some research, things like that. And I also included, which is, I quite liked it, there's a big pin board. I think they came with Get to Work and the Detective Career. I put that up just in the next room, you'll see it in a little bit. And then I put lots of seating facing it and like books and clutter and stuff underneath it, and I kind of imagined it being like if there were, I don't know, classes or talks on the history, like during the Fringe there's talks that happen where you can book and you go and you get like taught some history of it, and then you go on a tour and things like that. And I just kind of imagined it being that sort of spot where you go and you have like a little education area and then you get taken on your little tour. So I included that. If you're wondering why that's there, it looks a bit random, but I actually think it makes sense. So yeah, just in case you're wondering. But actually, speaking about the Fringe, there's only one person that would be watching this that would know. I actually performed at the Fringe, the Edinburgh Fringe, last year. Now, if you don't know what the Fringe is, it's the world's largest arts festival, and it happens every year in Edinburgh in the month of August. It happens for 3 weeks, and basically it draws in millions of tourists from all around the world, and performers and staff for different events, and it's basically any kind of art form you will find being performed in pubs, on the street, in theatres, in conference rooms and hotels, all these sort of things. So you'll find plays, you'll find singers, you'll find magicians, you'll find painters, I don't know, any kind of art, you find it, and it's such an incredible atmosphere. I had never been to the Edinburgh Fringe before I performed in it. Actually, no, that's a lie. I just lied to you guys. I'm sorry. I have been once. I went a couple of years ago. But it was like a very, very flying visit. We went just for a couple hours. We went to go see a show. So like I got my train and I ran from the train station to the theatre where the show was because we were running late. Not like me at all. I'm always so early. I don't know if anyone else is like this, but I always get so worried about being late that I'm always way too early, and it's so annoying. But also I'd rather be early than late, so I was stressing out because I was late, which was so scary. I don't know how anyone can just turn up being late all the time. Anyway, yes, we went to that theatre show, and then we went to a conference kind of thing related to that theatre show, so we just had to then go to another venue, and we went to that, and then we ran for our train home. So it was a very, very flying visit. I didn't actually get to see the Fringe. But then in the course that I did last year, I kind of briefly mentioned the fact that I trained as an actor in the previous video. I trained as an actor, and in my final year last year, it was such an intense course. My days were so long. Like, I would be in the studio 8, 9 o'clock, sometimes earlier. I mean, that doesn't sound that early, but most days I wouldn't be leaving the studio until maybe 9, 10, 11 at night. So while I wasn't in till maybe 8 or 9 in the morning, I was there for a long time. And then that was just for like classes and practical rehearsals and stuff like that. And then when I get home, I'd have written work to do or reading to do or lines to learn or things like that for the next day. So I would be up to like midnight, 1 o'clock. And not to forget, I had an hour travelling either side of that, so I had 2 hours travelling a day. Part of that was half an hour walk each way, so they were really long days. But it was a fantastic year because I developed so much as a person. Before that year, I did not have much confidence in myself at all. And like, people find that weird because they think of actors as being super confident, and while I'm still not super confident in myself, like, it's not that it's an act, but like, I've learned to kind of ignore that not being confident in yourself, if that makes sense. Like, you develop ways of just working with it. That's part of your actor training. Is it's not always gaining the confidence, it's just learning ways to deal with it. But yeah, before that year, I really was not I was so shy, and I just, yeah. But after that year, I really, really learned like what I'm capable of or what I can handle and things like that. And I have so much to thank for that year. It was just the most amazing. But part of that was performing at the Fringe, which was, I can genuinely say it was the most incredible experience of my life. It was phenomenal. We performed a play. It was a historical play about the first woman in space. So it was a Russian play because the first woman in space came from Soviet Russia. Her name was Valentina Tereshkova, and it was such an incredible play. It was written by the head of our studio. He was married to a Russian lady, and Russian history, Soviet history he was very passionate about it. So he wrote a play about it, and there was 7 of us women in it, and we all played Tereshkova at a point in her life, and it was like a monologue play. So we'd each get up and we'd have a big 3-4 page monologue. We'd do that, and there'd be ensemble work as well. So we'd come on and we'd do like kind of movement pieces while someone was talking, and then there'd be like a couple other characters thrown in, like the other cosmonauts who were training, or other just other characters that were involved. We'd come in and we'd do like bits with them, but it was mostly monologue play, and it was talking directly to the audience as well, which was such an incredible experience. Like, you don't normally have a lot of plays that intentionally break the fourth wall, but this was one of them where we were performing in a conference room, and it was a very small space. Like, we had our stage and we had audience on 3 sides, and they were very close to us, like at points, because the stage wasn't very big. And you'd be talking directly to these people, and it was just it was such a great experience because you were really truly connecting with these audience members. There was points where you'd be talking and you'd be tearing up because you were talking about something sad. Like, there was a point in one of my monologues I had to do where she was talking about losing her father, and she would often, at times when she felt sad, she would physically feel his shadow there, and she would go to turn around, and then we had another actor playing like her papa, and they would just miss each other, and it was such a heartbreaking thing, like, talking about that, because I could just imagine that. And you're talking directly to these audience members, and you see them being affected by it, and them tearing up, and you're tearing up, and it was just like, it was such an incredible experience. It truly was. I had the most amazing time. But my favourite part of that experience of the Fringe was honestly flyering, and I did not think that it was going to be that amazing. We developed such a great flyering technique. Basically, if you don't know what flyering is at the Fringe, it's just where you go and hand out your flyers for your show and advertise it in whatever way you want to. And because we were playing Russian cosmonauts, we had the full get-up, we had the blue jumpsuits, and we had all these badges from the Soviet Union and the Soviet space program. And so immediately you could tell we were from Russia or from the Soviet Union. And like, a lot of people tend to be like a little bit like uncomfortable around the thought of Russia or the Soviet Union because it is this mystery, you know, there's the whole Iron Curtain, like, so immediately people were a little bit like, ooh, what's going on here? So we developed a great flyering technique where we would all 7 of us would just stand in a row, like right across the Royal Mile, and we would just stand with our hands behind our backs, just staring straight out, like straight faced, and we'd have other people either side with the flyers handing them out. And people would come down the Royal Mile, and there's us just blocking the whole way. They have to walk right around. So immediately it's super eye-catching. And then they see it's about Russia. Well, I keep saying Russia. It was the Soviet Union back then. So immediately they're like, oh, this sounds so interesting. And then they want to hear more. So then we have the people with the flyers advertising it. But all we did was just stand there. And it was just so funny because the amount of people, you see their reaction, they get like a little bit nervous. They're like, what's going on? But so many people thought we were Russian, and like we would have genuine Russians come up to us and start talking in Russian. We'd be like, whoa, okay, I'm sorry, I don't understand. But we did have to learn some Russian for that play, which was really fun. It was really interesting. We actually learned a Russian song, and we learned the Soviet national anthem for the takeoff part of the play. So that was really, really interesting. We were lucky enough that one of the girls in our cast, well, 2 of the girls in our cast, they were from Poland, but one of them had learned Russian at school, so she was fluent in it, so she helped us with the pronunciation and all that as well. So, but that was really, really an amazing experience to do that. The Fringe is just so incredible. Like, I didn't have much time to go experience it because I was travelling through from Glasgow, and we were performing 2 shows a day, as well as then flyering and sorting our costumes and props out and all that stuff. So we didn't have that much time to go see shows, but we were performing in one of the space locations. Like, basically the space is like a kind of a company that rents out the locations from hotels and stuff like that. And if you're in one of the space locations, if you're a space performer, then you get a pass, and then you can go see any of the other shows that are in spaces for free if there's tickets left at the start of the show. So you just kind of have to hang around till the show's about to start and see if there's any free tickets, and then you get to go in, which was really cool because it meant I didn't spend much on shows at all. I just got to go see all these incredible plays for free, which was just phenomenal. So it was so much fun. It really, really was. It was an incredible experience. And as much as I don't really do acting anymore, I mean, I stopped because I just felt like while I gained confidence in myself, I lost a lot of confidence in just being able to put myself out there as a performer. Like, I don't know, it doesn't really make sense. But as me, I feel a lot more confident, and then just, I feel very unsure about, I think it's more the acting world, because obviously it's a very intense industry to be in. Maybe I'll get back into it eventually, I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, I would love to perform at the Fringe again though, because it was an incredible experience. I think as well because I loved the play. Like, I love history so much, and I learned so much history because I didn't know anything about the space race. Like, I genuinely knew nothing about it, so we learned all about it. And all about the Cold War and everything. So it was really, really fascinating to learn and to be able to share that knowledge with people when we were flyering. Like, the amount of discussions it's like sparked up because people were interested, they were intrigued, and yeah, it was really, really, it was so phenomenal. Anyway, I'm sorry, I talked about that for a really long time. See, the thing is, I struggle with, right? Especially for these videos, because they're quite long, like they're maybe half an hour, although I think this one's 26 minutes long of a speed build, but they're still long videos, and I start off thinking, I've got to talk for 30 minutes, what am I going to talk about? And I stress out so much thinking about it, but then like in the moment it's okay, because I just ramble about stuff. But I feel like you guys might get annoyed because I don't talk about the build all that much, but I feel like you can see what's happening, so I don't want to just keep repeating myself about what's going on the screen. Although I do want to say, those windows there on the right, the little ones, they're from Get Together, and we have that problem with the windows and the doors in Get Together, and I know there's a fix around it. I can't remember what it was though, like I read it somewhere and then I kind of forgot about it, and those windows, they look fine from the outside, the stained glass ones, but on the inside they just have like the frame, you don't actually see the glass. I mean, maybe they've always been like that, I can't say I've ever used them before. So I'm sorry if that annoys you, but they look really good from the outside, so I didn't want to change them. Yeah, so I'm sorry. But you would have seen we had a little flower shop, and so basically I struggled with trying to include shops and stuff because I hate using debug. I mean, it's not that I hate using debug items, I just hate using debug. Like, I struggle so much to go through it, I always miss stuff, I can never find anything. It's an infuriating process, so I don't normally use it, but I decided to use some flowers from Seasons for the flower shop, so I thought, it's fine, I'll do that, because they're all kind of in one section, so they're kind of hard to miss, like I see them all the time. So I thought, well, I'll just use them. Yeah, so you'll see there on the right, the windows are in weird places. That's because of the stairs doing their jumpy thing, so they've changed and I haven't gone back to fix them yet. So they will be fixed by the end of the video, but you're just going to have to ignore the mess of windows on that wall. There's two windows just overlapping each other there, that's just... It was so annoying. Anyway, yeah, you would have seen we did a flower shop, a book shop, and again I used those debug book displays, and then I did a cafe across the hall from this place. And then we've got this like spa area here. This is the most modern interior I've done in this build. I deliberately focused on doing traditional interiors because when I do any other videos out with this mini build series, I always do modern builds. I'm not great at doing traditional builds, so I always do modern. I just feel like it's in my comfort zone. So I tried to make sure I didn't just go back to that and do modern interiors, because of course a lot of places in these traditional buildings have been renovated and are modern, but I decided to focus on the traditional architecture for this. This is the most modern I did though. I decided to put a spa in, and I thought it's really nice to have the spa day flooring and walls and all that stuff. And actually, I think spa day is a great pack. I never really use the items all that much, but I think that the items that come with it are actually so nice. And you know what? People say spa day is a waste of money. I mean, it's very expensive for what it is, but you know, most of the packs are. But what you get in it is good. That's what I believe. But yeah, then we have two apartments upstairs as well. And they're both just one bedroom, small apartments. So I don't know if you would play in this lot, but I feel like there's lots of options of how you would play in it. I also included a daycare area, what I would call a nursery in the UK. But yeah, I included that because I thought if you come here for a day trip with the family, at least you can either do it story-wise that you're just bunging the kids in daycare so that your like adult or teen sims can go away, or it can just be that at least you know there's lots of toys and stuff for your kids. But either way, that's there for you. And then see there I was just making like a weird frame for the pictures by putting them in those window sections. I don't know. It doesn't look good. Oh well, and this is the last apartment here. Now I will be popping a few screenshots. I won't put loads because it will take me a long time to edit all of those screenshots. But I'll pop kind of a screenshot for most of the locations in, so stay tuned for that if you want to see that. I did in my last video like one of those like first person camera tour things of the build. I'm not going to do it here because the camera likes to jump around a lot in the first person camera mode because of all the terrain forming, so I'm not going to do that because it would be a bumpy ride. I'll just pop some screenshots in though. But I do hope that you have enjoyed this video. I hope you like this build, and I don't know if you would play with it, but I do hope that you had fun on this little adventure, these 3 videos. I certainly had fun. I really enjoyed it, and it was nice to get out of my comfort zone. I do want to say quickly, if you are expecting a video on Wednesday on my channel, I won't be uploading a video. I will be uploading on Sunday, same as normal, and then the following week it'll be back to normal. But I'm taking a little break. I'm very excited for Snowy Escape, so I'm going to start playing the game, actually get into gameplay again, and start working on my little family for the release, which I'm super excited about. So yeah, there won't be a video on Wednesday. But I do want to say, if you enjoyed this video, if you like this mini-series, don't forget to like, and if you want to see more, it would mean the world if you could subscribe. And I will speak to you all very, very soon. Bye bye!